Absolutely, we are live, man. Episode 342 right here on Off the Script. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this very special edition of the podcast, man. It's been a very busy weekend. It's been a very busy weekend, man. All Out, SmackDown, Matt Hardy almost dying live on pay-per-view. We went through a sea of emotions this weekend. The top story this week, man, Vince McMahon is ceasing all of WWE activity on Twitch, on Cameo, on YouTube, on whatever third-party platform that there is, that exists. Vince McMahon is stopping and banning all activity. A lot of people have asked me for my opinion on this, and I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I really don't know what there is to discuss. I'm just thankful that many of you do not run a business. I actually agree with Vince McMahon. That might be a little bit difficult for people to swallow, but I actually agree with Vince McMahon on this one. AOP got released. We'll talk about that as well. And the Wednesday Night Wars. Why it should end. NXT should be its own separate entity. AEW should be its own separate entity on Wednesday nights. While the Wednesday Night Wars have proven to be a terrible thing for both NXT and AEW, and the very latest on Matt Hardy right here on Off the Script.
This is mine.
Listen, man, I'm live on YouTube right now. Warge in the chat. What are you fucking doing in the chat, brother? Holy shit. Thank you for stopping by the stream, man. We are live. We are live in the stream right here on YouTube. A lot of people did not know. I'm looking at the chat right now live on YouTube. A lot of people did not understand or realize that AOP was released from WWE. You know, the funny thing about AOP being released from the WWE is they were getting ready to come back to TV. And we're going to go over the real reason why they actually were released right here on the podcast, man. We got a lot to go over. And I want to thank you guys for joining me live right here on your Sunday night. This is episode 342 of Off the Script. We had an amazing weekend. You know what, being that my mod is not available at the moment, Hoop Media is not available at the moment, I gotta hide Billy K in the chat. Honey, what makes you think I want you on my chat? I don't even want you on my fucking TV on Monday or Friday night. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. You might as well quit the business altogether. Terrible. Terrible. Goodbye. Thank you guys so much for joining me, episode 342. We got a lot to go over, and it was a busy weekend. All Out concluded last night. We did the live stream on YouTube. We didn't get done till about 2:30 in the morning. I ranted, and it was a very heartfelt rant. If AEW personnel take it personally, then they are as soft as Jim Cornette has been saying they are. I care about the company, but last night's show, it wasn't terrible by any means. AEW All Out was not terrible by any means, but in comparison to everything we've seen in AEW with pay-per-view, it was the worst effort that I think they've put on since they've been on TNT. And I think a lot of people do agree with me on that. A lot of people are upset about the Matt Hardy situation. We'll go over that as well. And I got your entire week of WWE news and rumors wrapped up into one big present to round out your weekends, man. And again, I can't say it enough. Thank you guys for joining me right here on Off the Script. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Jesse's in the chat. What's up, bro? I see you, brother. Hope you're doing well, man. Make sure you guys are following me on social media. Monday Night Raw tomorrow. We will be live, as always, on Twitter and then on the podcast tomorrow night. So make sure you guys have notifications turned on. Subscribe. We are dangerously close to 119,000 subscribers, man. This may be one of the quickest months we achieved 1,000 plus ever in subscribers. We are on our way to 119. So thank you guys so very much. Thank you for making me the #1 live stream in the wrestling community last night for All Out. We did big numbers last night. The podcast continues to do well. We're #1 on Monday, on Wednesday, on Friday, and then every pay-per-view following the pay-per-view schedule, man. Thank you guys for making Off the Script #1. I appreciate you. Patreon.com/JD from NY206 if you guys want to support the podcast in other ways. Patreon, you guys can do that. We are unveiling a new Patreon system on the channel in the coming months. It's going to be great, man. And there were a couple of people that asked me about the Patreon page already because I actually hinted at something on Twitter. There is a contest. And I know Sal Rex and my boy Mikey are going to be doing designs because that's what they do, and they're both talented motherfuckers. But it is a community-wide competition. If there are graphics designers out there and there are people that know what they do in their field as far as graphics design, I am taking all submissions, not just Sal Rex, because it's easy for me to just take Sal Rex's stuff because he's fucking great. But there is going to be a community-wide contest. If you guys can come up with an Are You Live Off the Script t-shirt and really make it great, you guys will win an annual subscription to the podcast on Patreon. That means you'll get a t-shirt and a very exclusive Off the Script fitted hat. If you guys want a snapback, I can make a snapback too, because I'm a big fan of the snapbacks. If you guys want fitted, I know most of my listeners probably like the fitted hats. You guys will get in on that as well. Gonna be a big deal, man. Gonna be a very big deal on the Patreon. So I'm working with the marketing team to get that ready for the holiday season. So if you guys are graphics designers out there and you want to do the contest, submit me your designs. All you got to do is email me. My email is on my Twitter page. So make sure you guys go and check that out. Patreon, masks. Go get your masks. Mouthmasker.com/OTS. That is imperative, especially if you got to go food shopping. Why wear a generic mask when you can support the podcast? Bonfire.com. Shout out to Andy. Oh my God, Andy, you fucking beast. Andy bought 14 different t-shirts today, man. 14 different articles of clothing from the Off the Script shop. I was at the craft beer bar this afternoon, drinking a nice cold beverage. I got an email notification. Andy bought 14 fucking Off the Script t-shirts, man, from bonfire.com. I'm like, holy shit. Unbelievable, man. I got the best fans possible. So shout out to Andy, who absolutely killed it on Bonfire. You guys can go and get your t-shirts. Bonfire.com. The IWC Savior doing God's work and all the other designs that are on there, man. JD's Elite. Team JD is on there. That is the exclusive home for Off the Script merchandise. If you guys want to go and check all the other videos that you might have missed on the channel, links are down below, including last night's AEW All Out review. Everything you need is linked down below. And as always, the podcast today is sponsored by Audible, audibletrial.com/offthescript. Make sure you guys sign up, get 30 days free of their service and one free audiobook of your choice. It is very simple, man. Great way to support the show. Great way to support Audible, audibletrial.com/offthescripts. Use our link, man. Fuck those other guys. Get your 30 days and your audiobook for free using Off the Script. Let's start the show off, man. I got a lot to get into, and I don't want to waste any more of your time. A lot of people were asking me if I was going to cover this AOP story. WWE releases the Authors of Pain. They released the Authors of Pain this week in a surprise maneuver to some people in WWE because there were actually plans for them to come back to television and get a big push on Monday Night Raw. Dave Meltzer noted on the Wrestling Observer Radio that before Razor was injured in March, Paul Heyman wanted to push them as a top tag team with the idea that they would be pushed as a modern-day version of the Road Warriors. The Road Warriors, obviously, Animal and Hawk were a team that didn't sell much, and they ran through their opponents in the NWA. And then, obviously, they became staples in the WWE Tag Team division. Now, before I read any further, I want to point out to you guys this in what Meltzer said. Meltzer mentioned that Paul Heyman, who is no longer the director, executive, creative director of Monday Night Raw, wanted to push them as a top tag team on Raw with the idea that they would be the modern day Road Warriors. So right then and there, they had literally everything working against them. Paul Heyman's no longer there. When Paul Heyman got fired, the AOP and all ideas regarding AOP were fired as well. Because it was a Paul Heyman idea. Simple. There's no thinking involved needed here, folks. Paul Heyman had a creative idea for said superstar. He's no longer there. Goodbye. They literally changed everything regarding Paul Heyman on Monday night anyway. And then tag teams. I mean, don't get me started on fucking tag teams. How many tag teams exist on Monday Night Raw? 2? You got the Profits, who are the Monday Night Raw Tag Team Champions, and then Angel Garza and Andrade, which have been absolutely demoralized, and they've been just creatively booked to be awful. I mean, it's very difficult for me to even find words because all I do is complain about how they've been booked on television. They look awful. I mean, look at Garza on TV. This guy came in as a Lothario, that they called him. He was just one guy that exuded just, oh my God, man. It's almost as if he walked around as if he had the biggest dick in the company. And now it's almost as if Kyantai came in and chopped his fucking wee-wee off. He's nothing anymore. And that is a sign of terrible booking. And you feel it. You, the casual, might be thinking, oh, well, they're on TV. Oh, well, they're getting a tag team title match. So what? It's all about how you are booked. Are you booked to look good or are you booked to look bad? Garza and Andrade have been an absolute non-factor in everything that they've touched. 2 tag teams. The Viking Raiders, I don't know whether they're in catering or shifting between Monday Night Raw, Raw Underground, or Titus Catering. I don't know. It's like they're splitting fucking duties on both. They're doing everything but tag team wrestling. Everything but what we fell in love with them about in NXT. After that, who else is there? They could have the Hurt Business. Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin could be a tag team. Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. You know how they hate Ricochet and Cedric and Ali. Other than that, who else is there? Dolph Ziggler's there. Bobby Roode got drafted to Monday Night Raw. Traded, I should say. He's stuck in Canada. He can't even make it down to the United States because of travel restrictions because of COVID-19. No tag teams. So WWE wanted to release one of their legit tag teams for what? For what? Because they don't give a fuck about tag team wrestling. And Paul Heyman wanted to push them. Fuck Paul Heyman. We are actively changing everything regarding Paul Heyman now that Bruce is in charge. Very simple, folks. Very, very simple. Now, the other thing is, this is just me adding on top of the obvious. AOP has been hurt. It was Razor that was hurt. It was Akam that was hurt. They traded injuries back and forth. WWE might be looking at them as being injury prone. But they're young. They're in their mid-20s. If you can't find value in two guys like this, these guys are two guys that are easily booked. And WWE just didn't want anything to do with them because fuck Paul Heyman and fuck tag team wrestling. It's very simple. Meltzer noted, you're going to laugh at this. Listen to this shit. Meltzer noted that Razor just got cleared and he was ready to return before their release was announced. He said, the only thing I heard, because he had just gotten cleared, and the idea was that he was not going to be back, or they were not going to be back with Rollins, which was their original role, but they didn't know where they wanted to put AOP. You don't know where you wanted to put AOP? Look at your fucking tag team division. You don't know where the fuck you want to put them. How the fuck can you go about calling yourself a creative? Oh, I got these two guys. I don't know where to put them. Are you fucking serious? Meltzer said, and I quote, when Paul Heyman was there, Paul Heyman wanted to make them the Road Warriors, and Levesque did that because he even brought in Ellering for them while they were in NXT, and they were treated as Road Warrior ripoffs. It's interesting that those two wanted to make them into the Road Warriors, and then Vince decided he wanted to release them. End quote. Now, Paul Ellering did an interview a couple of weeks ago and said that there were plans to bring him back this year, but those plans were paused because of Razor's injury. Akam and Razor are in their mid-20s, so there's plenty of time for them to do professional wrestling. It's not clear yet what their next move is, but there's no doubt that wrestling companies will be reaching out to them when their 90-day non-compete expires. During the Observer, Meltzer also added, like I mentioned before, Razor was just actually cleared for a return, and then they were fired, which made for very bizarre timing. Now he says, big surprise, nobody saw this coming. Razor was just cleared, he tore his bicep, and as soon as he was cleared to come back to Raw, they fired both of them, end quote. Folks, Razor was about to come back. Akam was ready for Razor to come back. They were about to be making their return to Monday Night Raw. Now, I don't know if it's... I'm assuming it's not legal to release somebody while they're injured, right? So he had no idea what was going on internally in WWE. I mean, who the fuck is Akam and who's Razor? I don't know if it's legal to release somebody. I'm thinking not while under WWE contract and injured. But they waited. They waited until his injury was cleared. He was ready to come back, and then they released him. It's amazing to me how WWE went about waiting until this guy was like, you know what? Our doctors are going to clear him, and then when he's good to go, all we have to do is come up with a plan to reintroduce these guys back to television. WWE thought that that was too much work, and they decided to release them instead as soon as Razor was cleared. Now, they have to wait 90 days. So now, whatever they did, WWE might have been thinking that they wanted to release these guys whenever, but they waited intentionally for him to be cleared, for him to be healthy, and then they released him. And now they have 90-day no-compete, which means they can't do anything for 3 months. It is September, October, November, December. You won't be hearing about AOP until 2021, the earliest. And who are they? They don't have a big name surrounding them. WWE didn't push AOP to a point where they're going to be a sought-after free agent duo. They're going to be, who the fuck are these guys? Where were these guys before? Why are these guys, in a company and they got no hype around them? They had no hype going into a new promotion. They had no hype coming out of the WWE. So WWE released them as soon as Razor got injured. If you don't think that was a calculated plan, you're a fucking idiot. They did this on purpose. They did this because WWE is petty. And these two guys, they had a lot of upside. You might not have liked them, but Triple H booked them perfectly. Why is it that Triple H booked these guys perfectly for 2 years, and then Vince McMahon couldn't do anything but fucking piss jokes with AOP? He even put Drake Maverick with them as a manager. First day on Monday Night Raw, they got rid of Paul Ellering. Triple H creates, Vince kills. Need I say more? AOP is the latest casualty of the main roster because of their creative failures. Simple. And I just find it funny how this guy was cleared, and then all of a sudden, you know what, we're going to let you go. You're good, but we don't need you. You're cleared, but we're going to release you. 90 days. Now you won't hear about AOP. Who the fuck is AOP? Until 2021. I feel sorry for them. Do they end up in AEW? I don't know. They got so many fucking tag teams, I've lost count. Do they really need another tag team? But if they go anywhere, it's going to be AEW because who's going to be open? Who's going to be open for business? Nobody. Maybe the Authors of Pain can write a new chapter of their career with Tony Khan. So we'll see what happens. That's that. WWE. They might have an opponent in mind for Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 37. Now, I don't think WWE has an idea of what they want to do fucking tomorrow night for Monday Night Raw. We're here talking about WrestleMania 37. I mean, it's a little silly. But Lesnar's name was in the news because apparently he's a free agent, which he really isn't. Everybody was talking about Lesnar being a free agent. I came out and made a video on it, an extra during the week. If you guys want to go and watch that, link is down in the description of the video. But everybody's talking about, oh, Lesnar's going back to the MMA. Oh, Lesnar's going to use AEW for leverage, which is probably the case. But Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar, they're businessmen. They're businessmen. I think everybody in WWE knows Brock Lesnar is the same old shit, and everybody in that company thinks somehow Brock Lesnar is a name that's still going to draw money to the WWE. WWE has wasted more money on Brock Lesnar than they've made on Brock Lesnar, and that is a simple, cold, hard fact. He does nothing for business. Absolutely nothing, especially now. He does nothing for ratings. He does nothing for business. It's the same old shit. Creative doesn't know what to do with him. Every single time Lesnar comes back, he goes away, he comes back, he goes away, he comes back. It's the same old shit. WWE thinks Brock Lesnar's name means so much that they go on and book Brock Lesnar like this unstoppable monster, and then they put him over going into WrestleMania, and then he puts over whoever they deem next in line. Like, Lesnar's the final fucking ultimate boss in this video game. It's not that way anymore. Lesnar is in a weakened state. Obviously, Lesnar does nothing for business. If so, WWE wouldn't be in the shithole that they are in right now creatively. But apparently WWE has a match in mind for Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 37. Now, Dave Meltzer reported in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that Lesnar's name has been talked about in WWE in reference to a Drew McIntyre rematch at WrestleMania. It was noted that this was if McIntyre was going to retain the WWE title in his feud with Randy Orton. It was noted that WWE has considered putting the title on Orton with the idea that he would resume his feud with Edge when Edge is cleared of his most recent injury. That match was previously reported to be the main event of WrestleMania, but things changed last week. Let me look at my phone. Things are probably changing by the minute in Stamford, Connecticut. it was added that regarding WrestleMania 37, nothing in that direction is close to being decided. So why is it in the fucking news? Better yet, why am I even fucking talking about it? Now, Sportskeeda. Take everything Sportskeeda says with a grain of salt. Jericho discussed Lesnar. He doesn't feel as though Brock Lesnar is really a free agent. And I'm actually in Jericho's line of thinking. He thinks Brock Lesnar and WWE have the kind of relationship where Lesnar is simply waiting for Vince McMahon to pull another money truck up to his front yard. Truck, trunk, whatever. Vault, bank. You name it. As long as it can hold fucking money, it's going to be backed into Brock Lesnar's backyard. Now, Jericho says this, and I quote, and it's very tough to disagree with him. The only reason why the rumors about Lesnar being a free agent are out there, I don't think he's really a free agent at all. I think is a situation where it would take so much money to pry him away from Vince McMahon on Brock's end, and then for Vince to approve that. I mean, Vince has $2 billion in the bank. What are you going to spend on Brock Lesnar that Vince isn't going to be able to afford? And Vince and Brock have a strange love affair to begin with. End quote. Never mind what Jericho said. I think that's all common knowledge. Jericho is right. Lesnar's not going anywhere. And for everybody that wants to see Brock Lesnar in AEW, they got their own issues to worry about. We don't need Brock Lesnar in AEW. AEW doesn't need Brock Lesnar. Fuck it. Lesnar, to me, is a commodity in WWE that's been used and used and used and used over and over again, and it's just the same old shit. In the same way, nothing special about Lesnar. Lesnar doesn't really generate any interest because it's always the same shit. Now, with his match at WrestleMania 37, the only thing listed in the Observer here is a rematch with Drew McIntyre. Is Drew McIntyre going to be the WWE champion? I hope to God fucking not. What would that do? What would that do for business? Oh my God, you're going to put the title back on Brock Lesnar. Really? That's what you think is best for business, putting the title back on Brock Lesnar. I think Brock Lesnar actually is bad for business if you put the title back on him, because fans are not stupid. They realize that you continue to go back to the same well over and over and over again. Instead of building new stars and creating new stars and giving other people opportunity that have been sitting there waiting patiently, you continue to go back to Lesnar, and he offers nothing new at all. Lesnar wins the title, he goes away till SummerSlam. Lesnar drops the title, he goes away till the Royal Rumble. Lesnar shows up in the Royal Rumble, he figures out who he's going to fight at WrestleMania. Rinse and repeat over and over again. And why put him with Drew McIntyre? How does that make a solid WrestleMania match? Does nobody think that if that is the plan, whether it's for the championship or not, don't you think that's counterproductive? Now, I don't really understand in either way, in either situation. So what's the big deal? Lesnar and Drew McIntyre, if there are fans at WrestleMania, he gets a win with fans in attendance. I mean, it should not matter if there's fans or not. He beat Brock Lesnar in 5 fucking minutes with a Claymore kick. Several of them. I don't need fans in attendance to realize that Drew McIntyre has arrived. He might want it on his resume. He might want it because in his mind, well, I didn't really anticipate wrestling Brock Lesnar for the WWE title at WrestleMania in front of an empty arena. There are things in this world that are unfair. Not everything you want is going to happen. You're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to live with it. So what difference does it make if he gets a win over Brock Lesnar in WrestleMania with fans in attendance for a second time? It's not going to be any better than the first. In fact, it's going to pale in comparison. And the other side of the coin is, what if Lesnar's coming back to get his revenge? What if WWE books this match for Lesnar to get his win back? It's almost as if you're counterproductive for what you did with Drew McIntyre at this year's WrestleMania. Almost as if you want to erase the build of Drew McIntyre to give Lesnar his win back. Now, again, I don't know. The WWE title could or could not be on the line. It should not have any factor in anything Lesnar does from here on out. But I think I could come up with several WrestleMania matches for Brock Lesnar that doesn't include a counterproductive match with Drew McIntyre or for a WWE title. Two names immediately come off the top of my head. And that is Keith Lee and Matt Riddle. And if you ain't booking those matches and you ain't putting over those guys in a match with Brock Lesnar, and I just got done saying Lesnar doesn't really mean anything, and it doesn't at the end of the day, but those are matches that have been talked about for months, years. Matt Riddle's been building that Lesnar matchup on his own accord for years. And it's a legit match. I look at Lesnar as a legit athlete. I look at Matt Riddle as a legit athlete. I look at Keith Lee as a legit athlete. Those are the guys I want in the ring with Brock Lesnar. Those are WrestleMania matches. They don't need to be championship matches. But if you want to give Lesnar and Riddle, Lesnar and Keith Lee a chance, it ain't about championships. It's about making moments. And those guys need the moments. If those guys are going to be on your list of guys that are going to take this company into the future. And those matches, I think everybody in this chat, everybody in the community is on the same page with. We want to see those matches because of the clash of styles that could easily bring us to a great WrestleMania moment between all three of those guys, Riddle, Lesnar, and Lesnar Lee. It's simple. Lesnar does not need the WWE title. Drew McIntyre doesn't need another win over Brock Lesnar. Lesnar doesn't need a revenge victory over Drew McIntyre. It's over. Your intended purpose was for Drew McIntyre to get over on Brock Lesnar. It's done. They should have absolutely nothing to do with each other for the rest of their careers. It's over. Lesnar's now in a stage of his career at 42, 43 years old where he's going to use everything he's acquired and the name he's built to give back. And those are the two guys that I think he should give back to. Vince McMahon. The big story of the weekend is Vince McMahon. What else is new? He threatens to push Twitch and Cameo away from the active roster. He's going to punish and or fire wrestlers who engage with third-party platforms like Twitch and Cameo. Now, a lot of people are asking me about my opinion on this story. And I've talked to several people about this over the last couple of days, and my answer is still the same. My answer remains unchanged. I do not think the WWE and or Vince McMahon is in the wrong here. I don't. In fact, I actually agree with Vince McMahon. And there's really nothing more for me to say. Honestly. Now, Vince McMahon has reportedly issued an edict that will make a lot of their wrestlers and a lot of their employees unhappy. Wrestling Inc. is reporting that the edict issued this week to the talent states that they cannot engage with outside third parties. This presumably includes platforms like Cameo and Twitch. Some wrestlers also monetize their YouTube accounts, so they may be included on the list. Now, I know the first one that jumps off the page is Asuka. I know a lot of people in this chat love Asuka's YouTube channel. I know a lot of you guys love Kana-chan TV. I know you guys. And she doesn't really do anything but unboxings and gameplays and, fucking handiwork, food reviews maybe, right? And she's developed a channel off of everything that is not Asuka. Everything that is not Asuka. She never... The only thing I would say is Asuka promoted it via her Twitter page, and that is a no-no. This is where the gray area comes into play. She's obviously promoted it through the Asuka WWE Twitter page. That is her professional Twitter page. That is a gray area. So she might not even be safe from this either because, yes, it has nothing to do with the Asuka character, but she used the platform of Kana-chan TV and promoted that via her WWE Twitter handle. And everybody knows Asuka for being one of the biggest stars in the company. So that's where there's an issue. That is the biggest issue in all of this. Who are all of these wrestlers? Who are all these men and women without Vince McMahon? The fact of the matter is, if you're using a WWE created character, if you're using a WWE created IP, you should not be able to use WWE's stage, WWE's platform on social media, the name that WWE gave you, to build an audience, to make yourself money on that character when you had nothing to do in the creation of that character. You are working for Vince McMahon while he gave you that character. And the marketing behind that character, and the catchphrases, and the slogans, and the t-shirts, and the merchandise, and the look. You can't go out there and not give Vince McMahon what he's owed when you are a product of a Vince McMahon creation. I don't really understand why people are struggling to find a simplistic way to discuss this. It is very simple. And I am not one to agree with WWE on most situations, but this one, I mean, it's just blatant. You can't take what Vince created and use it for your own gain without him getting upset. Of course, there's going to be a ban on all WWE performers using their stage names to make careers elsewhere when you had nothing to do with creating that character. And we'll talk about that as we go on. Now, the story noted that Vince McMahon followed everybody up on a letter on Thursday, saying that it was imperative for WWE and the brand to be protected in every way, and the talent have 30 days to stop engaging with third parties. It reads, furthering my comments last Sunday regarding the reinvention of our product, it is imperative that we promote and protect our brand in every conceivable way. Some of you are engaged with outside third parties using your name and likeness in ways that are detrimental to our company, meaning you're costing the company money. It is imperative that these activities be terminated within the next 30 days, by Friday, October 2nd. Continued violations will result in fines, suspension, or termination at WWE's discretion. These actions are necessary in order to rebuild our brand as we enter the next phase of growth at World Wrestling Entertainment. I thank you for your cooperation in this matter and for all of your efforts towards the rejuvenation of WWE. End quote. I wish there was a fucking rejuvenation in the creative aspect of WWE. You'd be a lot better off for it, but who the fuck am I? It was added that these actions were necessary because WWE is in the middle of a rebuilding process and they are about to enter the next phase of growth at World Wrestling Entertainment. Several WWE performers have accounts on Twitch and Cameo, and they make a good amount of money on these platforms. If I told you how much money these people make on Twitch and Cameo, man, it is unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable the amount of money that these people are making. Listen to this list of people on Cameo in the WWE using their WWE stage names to make money on Cameo. Now, the most expensive top 10 superstars in WWE on Cameo right now are Ric Flair at number 1. $500 per Cameo appearance. Roman Reigns at $500. Alexa Bliss at $399. I guess Antonio overpaid. The fucking simp that he is, asking her out on a date. How do you feel, geek? You fucking loser. Charlotte Flair. If you need to pay $380 for Charlotte Flair to give you a fucking cameo, bro, you're wasting your money. I could sit here and do it better than Charlotte Flair. I can give you the Android Queen. Come on. $380 to have somebody fucking recite something for you in a robotic tone? Oh my God. Sasha Banks, $375. Mandy Rose, $250. Rey Mysterio, $250. Peyton Royce, $200. Billy Kay, $150. And Kevin Owens, $149. I don't know what the dollar difference is between Kevin Owens and Billy Kay, but it's none of my business. That rounds out the top 10. Now, the top 10 highest earning active roster members on Cameo, folks. Listen to this. Big E has accumulated earnings of $62,509. Ric Flair, $30,005. Mandy Rose, $22,503. Peyton Royce, $21,803. Roman Reigns, $18,003. Sasha Banks, $16,127. Rey Mysterio, $15,002. Lacey Evans, $14,027. Kevin Owens, $10,432. And Kurt Angle, $9,301. Then you got the legends. They're getting in on this shit as well. Bret Hart, $65,701. Mick Foley, $34,280. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, he's on there at number 3, $19,728. Jerry Lawler, $9,601. The Godfather, $9,401. Ted DiBiase, he needs the money to pay for his fucking son's lawyer bills for sure. $9,076. Tony Rica, $5,671. Coco Beware. Coco Beware is on Cameo, folks. If you want Coco Beware, go get him. Go get him. $25. Coco Beware accumulated 4,451. Or was it this or this? What is it? What is it? Coco Beware. Lita, 4,201. And then Big Sexy Kevin Nash, 3,466. Now you can buy a Cameo for any occasion, a birthday, an anniversary, this and that. It's a great way for superstars to really personalize to a fan in ways that they really don't ever have an opportunity to do so. So I get it. I really do. But WWE Superstars are out there using their WWE likeness for personal gain. And that's why Vince McMahon is saying no more. Now, WWE wrestlers are all independent contractors. Yeah, right. They're all independent contractors, so in theory, they would be legally allowed to do other things outside of work as long as they are not using their trademark WWE character names, which is what I said on Twitter. It will be interesting to see how the talent reacts and if anyone decides to contest this new edict put out by Vince McMahon. How is the talent going to react and act to this situation? Are they going to close up shop? I know Paige changed her name from Paige WWE on Twitch to Soraya Official on Twitch. I'm not sure if that means anything at all. Sasha Banks changed her Cameo name from Sasha Banks to Mercedes. So they're going by their real life names now after this letter got sent out to everybody. I don't know if WWE is going to be able to force everybody to close their shit down. I don't know what they are going to do with this situation. For all we know, WWE could be in partnership or at least partnership negotiations with Twitch. Maybe they want to join the Twitch family and put everybody under the WWE umbrella in one big group, and WWE gets some kickback from everybody that wants to go out there and recreationally play video games and stream on Twitch. It's a very simple concept for them to do. We don't know if they're in negotiations with Twitch or not. I don't think that they are. But now that WWE is seeing how much money everybody is actually making off of Twitch, now they want a piece of the pie. It might not have been an issue if nobody was really making the amount of money that they're making. But now that WWE sees, oh my God, look at the fucking amount of money that these guys are making, and they're using our creations, now we need a piece of this fucking pizza pie now. So it might not have been an issue, but now that it's an issue, everybody's making money, WWE wants a piece of the pie. So we don't really know yet. Now, that could be a situation. WWE might be in negotiations with Cameo to do a little bit of something. They might want to strike a deal with Cameo, and then everybody that is on Cameo that's a WWE superstar, whatever they charge, WWE might give them the okay to be on there as long as there's a corporate umbrella partnership with Cameo and WWE gets some kickback from that. I mean, it's a lot of money. And the money coming in is because of what Vince McMahon created for them. Who are any of these people without Vince McMahon? It is a very simple concept. Now, I do think that when people's contracts are up, I actually think people are going to be sick and tired of WWE controlling and micromanaging every single thing that's going on. But this is WWE. You signed up for it. I'm sure you had a good idea of what you were walking into before you even signed your fucking contract. You signed life away. I think you should know that by now. And if you don't, get with the fucking program. I do think that there are going to be contract renegotiations. I do think that WWE is going to have to talk about the money that people are making on Twitch. That money that they're losing out on, that money is going to be coming back in contract negotiations for future WWE talent. Whatever they are making on Twitch, and they will no longer be able to make on Twitch that WWE is banning and taking away from them, that money is going to be now used as leverage in contract negotiations. WWE is going to have to fork over the money. Or WWE is going to have to renegotiate contracts where they could actually play on Twitch. And no, WWE is not allowed to own anybody's legal name. That's fucking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But there's a gray issue here. Everybody can go out there. If they started from the ground up, Adam Cole started from the ground up. If Paige started from the ground up, and Asuka started from the ground up and did nothing as far as promotion via a WWE platform on social media to gain a following and an audience on this Twitch endeavor or this Cameo endeavor, then it wouldn't be an issue. But everybody in some way, shape, or form has used a WWE outlet to push their Twitch or push their Cameo. You've seen it on Twitter. You've seen it on Instagram. It's not right. It's not right. So I do think that the WWE superstars in this case are gonna want to negotiate. They're going to want more money, and I don't blame them. If WWE is looking to silence them, then they need to then they need to renegotiate and be compensated for all that money that they could potentially be missing out on. I mean, Adam Cole, for example. Look at Adam Cole. I don't follow Adam Cole on Twitch. I don't follow Paige on Twitch. But, for example, Paige, I don't even know why Paige is an issue right now. Yeah, she used her name, her stage name, to gain a following, because who is Saraya without WWE? But I'm going to use Adam Cole because he is a focus of their weekly program on Wednesday nights. For example, if Adam Cole has 15,000 followers or paid subscribers on Twitch, that probably amounts to anywhere between $50,000 to $75,000 in monthly revenue for Adam Cole. Recurring subscribers. That's a lot of fucking money. Do you want that money to just magically disappear? That's a lot of fucking money, man. It really is. But how did he get 15,000 paid recurring subscribers on Twitch? He promoted it via his social media, which is Adam Cole WWE, which is a WWE branded social media account. You can't do that. Adam Cole is now owned by WWE. The stage name of Adam Cole is now intellectual property of WWE. Austin, whatever his fucking name is not. Is not. If he built this thing from the ground up with no WWE push, and without using WWE social media, it would be a different story. But he wouldn't have 15,000 paid recurring subscribers. Because who's looking up Austin? Who's looking up Paige on Twitch? Right? Everybody. Who's looking up Saraya? or everybody else's real fucking name on social media? Nobody. It's not what you're going to go to. Everybody in this company is known by their stage name. And that's how they've accumulated the followings that they have on Twitch and on Who is Alexa Bliss without WWE? Lexi Kaufman, right? Now, you might know her if you're Googling her, but she's promoted Cameo on Twitter before. Who is Alexa Bliss without Vince McMahon? Who is Sasha Banks without Vince McMahon? Who is Big E without Vince McMahon? Who is Roman Reigns without Vince McMahon? You can't go out there and make the type of money that you're making on Vince McMahon's watch, and you're not giving the boss any of that kickback. You're going out there pretty much robbing him blind. He's looking at all this money, and he's asking, why am I not getting a piece of this shit? I created these fucking characters, and they're going out there using these characters for their own personal gain. Somebody brought to me The Rock. The Rock. When The Rock left the WWE to go to Hollywood, it is Dwayne The Rock Johnson that entered Hollywood, right? Every single name that you've seen Dwayne The Rock Johnson, or every movie rather, that you've seen Dwayne The Rock Johnson on, Vince McMahon got a cut of whatever Dwayne Johnson did by using The Rock's name, because he used the WWE likeness and the WWE character to get himself further and further up the Hollywood ladder. Every time he used The Rock, which is a WWE Vince McMahon created IP, Vince got some kickback from that. And then when he got bigger and bigger and bigger, and he didn't need that anymore, he went to Dwayne Johnson. WWE doesn't own Dwayne Johnson. They own The Rock. Anything that Dwayne Johnson does as far as The Rock goes, Vince McMahon gets kickback. But now that Dwayne Johnson is the biggest Hollywood actor in the world and doesn't need WWE, he doesn't need to go by The Rock anymore. Everybody knows that he's The Rock, but nobody's calling him The Rock publicly. He's Dwayne Johnson. So now that when you see The Rock in a movie, it's Dwayne Johnson starring in whatever. And he doesn't owe Vince McMahon fucking anything. You don't see Dwayne Johnson using his WWE likeness anymore to get further ahead because he doesn't need to now. That's the whole fucking problem here. Somebody brought that to me and was like, that's the best way for me to describe it to you. And I absolutely agree. It is very difficult to sit there and disagree with what Vince McMahon is doing. But I do think all of this is going to come up in contract negotiations, and everybody that's losing out on money, everybody that's going to close up shop on Twitch or Cameo is going to ask for all of that money that they were pulling in contract negotiations, or they're going to be reimbursed via a revision of their contract. So it's going to be a very interesting situation to follow. Now, Dave Meltzer talked about this on the Wrestling Observer Radio. Although the exact reason for WWE wanting to stop this is still not confirmed, he believes that WWE is trying to get a deal done for brands on these platforms. Like I said, they could be working with Twitch. We don't know. WWE could put everybody under a Twitch umbrella. Twitch can monitor everybody's earnings, report back to WWE. They get a percentage of that kickback. The performer gets a percentage of that. We don't know. Same thing with Cameo. We don't know. WWE might be saying that, but when they uncovered all of this, they probably were not. Now they're seeing all the money that's coming in, and now they want to negotiate with these companies. Again, very interesting. Nobody knows, but WWE is possibly trying to get a deal done with these brands on these platforms. It makes it more valuable for the company to sign whatever Meltzer called a term deal with a third-party company with all of its talent being on WWE's platforms instead of stars having their own individual deals. He says, and I quote, "I can tell you that the talent doesn't really know exactly, but I think they know they got to get off Twitch and Cameo. I don't think YouTube. I know people who don't think YouTube, but it's not been completely explained what this means to them. My first thought, just from what I heard, that WWE probably wants to make a deal and individual deals undercut the team deal, and so that they want exclusive deals, and if guys and women have their own deals, then it's not exclusive. That's what I assume it is. I'm still waiting to hear back from WWE. Now, there was an issue with Lana's Instagram account, and several videos and photos on Lana's Instagram account have Bang Energy advertisements thrown about on her Instagram page. There was one from July 31st, one on August 7th, and one on August 26th. That's the straw that broke the camel's back, says Meltzer, was CJ Perry's Bang energy drink commercials. That's what Meltzer says. I don't think that's the case whatsoever. In fact, Rusev actually went on a rant on Twitch and ranted on everybody that reported Lana is to blame for WWE's third-party ban because they blamed Lana and they said that's the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't think that's the case at all. Now, he says this about his wife and people blaming his wife. He says this on Twitch. He was live streaming and he said this, and I quote, "Oh, the fucker. The motherfucker. What's his frickin' face? Dave Meltzer, once again, putting bullshit out there. I am tired of him. Honestly, get the fuck out of here. Who the fuck are you to speak things like that? First of all, this isn't true. One day he's going to burn in hell. Meltzer, go ahead and collect everyone's money, but let me tell you, once you die, you are going to hell." No, I don't listen to Meltzer, but my problem is people listen to this guy. He has a personal agenda because he's got something against CJ. This guy has no knowledge. He has zero knowledge. Yeah, he's got people from the office that feed him meaningless information. I'm not the first person to call you out, and I won't be the last one, but fuck you. I don't think there's a single story out there from Meltzer that has been true. He has no information, zero. End quote. Lana is not to blame. I don't know where Meltzer got that. I don't know who fed Meltzer that at all. But Lana is not to blame. Lana doing Bang energy drink advertisements on her Instagram is the least of WWE's concerns. What broke the camel's back could be AJ Styles. I mean, look at AJ Styles. Somebody clearly caught wind of this and got Vince McMahon's ear. AJ Styles on Twitch talked about him being diagnosed with COVID-19, WWE's protocol with COVID-19, WWE and his stance in the company with Paul Heyman, how he feels about Paul Heyman, how he feels about the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson getting fired. He blamed Paul Heyman for that. I think he had his kid on Twitch, and his son was live on his Twitch channel, and his son said right there on Twitch, I don't know how many people were watching AJ Styles at the time, but his son says, I don't watch WWE anymore because it's uncool. It's not cool anymore. It's not for me. Yet your dad is one of the biggest names in the entire company. You got your son on your Twitch channel saying that WWE is not cool? And you want to blame Lana for doing Bang energy drink advertisements. That's the type of shit that WWE is looking out for. That's the type of shit that is going to get Vince McMahon to send out a company-wide letter and make sure everybody is now, at the end of this 30 days, no longer on Twitch and no longer on Cameo. They could be on Twitch. They could be on Twitch, but WWE's got to get a piece of the pie. They could be on Twitch, but they can't be under their WWE stage name. They could be on Twitch, but AJ Styles and everybody else that's ingrained in the WWE on TV on a weekly basis cannot go out there and break the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, however many walls there are. AJ Styles is leaking and revealing information that is bad for public relations, that is bad for WWE marketing, that is bad for WWE, that Vince would never in 1,000 fucking lifetimes want out there publicly. And he's just out there willingly, even though he probably owns his own intellectual property. He's a WWE employee. He's a WWE contracted employee. You can't go out there and say that. If you were not with the WWE, then by all means, you could say whatever the fuck you want, like Rusev just said about Dave Meltzer, but you can't do that. Lana is not the one that broke the camel's back. It was a mixture of all the Twitch personalities using their WWE names. It was a mixture of the Cameo situation where WWE is like, look at all this fucking money that people are making, and we're not getting any of that. And the fact that guys like AJ Styles are going out there pretty much just very loose-lipped in regards to anything WWE related. Vince doesn't want any of that information leaked to the general public because it's only going to make them look bad. So I don't know what's going to happen with this situation. We got Paige. It's now Saraya Official on Paige. She changed it from Paige WWE. She actually said in an email to her Twitch subscribers, hey guys, just a quick announcement. My Twitch name has been changed to my real name and not my stage name. It is now Saraya Official. Thank you all, and I'll see you Sunday for the last chance to be in the biggest giveaway I've ever done. And she signed the page Saraya XOXO. It is a very simple concept, folks. There really isn't anything for me to go out there and add to this. It's a very simple concept. Don't go on Twitch or Cameo and use a WWE created stage name. Don't. I'm surprised it took this long for it all to bite them in the ass. Now, I get it. I really do get it. I get that we're in the middle of a pandemic. I get that people want to make money. I get that there's no live shows. They're not touring. Merchandise sales are probably down. They want to make money. People are not being used on TV. They want to offset their earnings. They want to do what they love to do if they're going to be stuck at home and they can't work. And WWE doesn't want a full active roster inside the Performance Center, inside the Amway Center. They got to somehow make money. If you're not being used, you're not making money. If you're not on Raw, if you're not on SmackDown, if you're not on pay-per-view, you're not making money. What are you going to do? I get it. But WWE should never force anyone to not make any money. But there's ways to go about it. Everybody blatantly and very nonchalantly took Vince McMahon for granted. And now that Vince McMahon is acting because everybody wanted to bite the hand that feeds them, now everybody's up in arms and everybody's upset. Meanwhile, all they had to do was go about it the right way. So I don't really sit here and blame Vince McMahon. Now, me personally, I would never deem anybody that's on my roster not able to make money. You can't do this, you can't do that. Tony Khan said he has no problem with people going on third-party platforms. People have no problem in AEW going on Twitch or this or that and doing anything to bring brand awareness. Vince McMahon might be out of touch. Vince McMahon is out of touch. But Vince McMahon is out of touch, and I don't think that this could potentially be a good thing. If he stopped fucking micromanaging everything, I think everything would be much better off for WWE. All you're doing right now is angering everybody by going for the axe and, chopping everybody's head off at the same time. Instead of working with them and realizing that you got a fucking gold mine in everything that you created and allowing these personalities to go out there and make money for themselves while making money for the company as well. Make that money off of them while you're employed. Make that money off of them while you have them under contract. When they're not on the contract, they can go and do whatever the fuck they got to do on their Twitch, whatever they want to do on their Cameo. But WWE and Vince McMahon are completely out of touch. Twitch is such a major platform right now for everybody. Cameo is such a major... TikTok, Instagram, such a major platform for everybody. People are making boatloads of money on being social media influencers. They're giving up legit 9-to-5 jobs to make fucking... How much money? It is fucking just insurmountable how much money people are making on TikTok. On YouTube, being a content creator. But there's ways to go about it. You can bring brand awareness to the WWE. You can bring a closeness to that fan that really doesn't really get that if they were to meet them in a meet and greet. That's very impersonal. I've been to a WWE meet and greet before. It's very impersonal. It's very quick. As if you're not there to really bask in their presence, that you're not worthy to be in their presence. In and out. It's so sad and depressing when you go to those meet and greets. And people have a way on Twitch to connect with these people and really just find out who they are, become a fan of them, and then realize that these people are on TV weekly and they generate interest and they generate audience for that character, for that brand. They bring brand awareness. But there's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. Tony Khan has no problem with that. He said it in his media scrum. He doesn't have any problem with that. They will allow, and it's good for them anyway because they're a startup company. They've been around for 1 year. So for Tony Khan to go out there and say that that's not an issue, that's good. And they're not a publicly traded company anyway. WWE is a publicly traded company. How much money is WWE losing in the eye of the shareholder with all these people going out there? How much money is WWE losing that they're not reporting to the fucking shareholders? If I'm a shareholder, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Look at all this money that these guys are accumulating. Where are we seeing that? Why isn't the company making that type of money? Tony Khan doesn't have to worry about that. Tony Khan is not a publicly traded company. AEW is not on the stock market. So for him to go out there and say, these guys can do whatever they need to do to bring brand awareness, he's got brand awareness in mind because he knows that they're going to bring interest and new eyes to the product, and that's exactly what he needs. That's exactly what AEW needs. Now, there's a way to go about it. If Vince wants to allow all these people to be on Twitch and Cameo and this and that, they can't be like an AJ Styles and break that fourth wall. If that is the case, you got to silence them. There's got to be clauses in the contract. You can't talk about this. You can't do this. You can't say this. You can't do that. Can't be doing that type of shit. Fines, suspensions, terminations are going to be handed down. If so, they need to do that. So it is a situation where WWE is going to be looking at this, assessing how much money, and I do think they're going to come to terms with partnerships with Twitch and Cameo and TikTok and all this other shit on social media. It's a situation with Vince McMahon where I want to hate on him because I know how out of touch he is. And this exposes just the issue of him being in charge completely and him micromanaging. But it's very difficult to look at Vince McMahon and tell everybody that he's wrong in this situation. In fact, he's doing the right thing. And that's my stance on it. That's my opinion on it. Let me know what you think down below in the comments of the video. Moving on here, man. SmackDown. SmackDown ratings, follow-up to Payback. The overnight viewership for this week's SmackDown was reported by Showbuzz Daily. The 9/4 episode of SmackDown, which was the first SmackDown episode after Payback, brought in an average of 2.065 million, bringing in a 0.55 rating in the all-important 18 to 49 demographic. This is down from the show last week, which did a 2.181 million viewership. That was the go-home show to Payback last week. Last week's show also did quite better in the demo. In the 18 to 49, they did a 0.7 rating. So they were down big time in all areas that Fox is going to be looking at. Now, people were claiming that SmackDown on Friday was one of the best episodes of the year. I don't know where the fuck people were coming up with that. The show was not good at all. It just existed. We got Reigns and Heyman. We got Jey Uso becoming the #1 contender for the Universal Championship. I mean, we went over all this on Friday's live stream. If you guys want to go check it out, go check the link down below for the official SmackDown playlist. SmackDown was not good at all. We got the heel turn on Bayley and Sasha Banks in their feud. Bayley turned on Sasha instead of the rumored Sasha turning on Bayley. Bayley remains heel. Sasha now will be the babyface. How long she will be out, I don't know. But the attack wasn't anything all that special. It was missing several aspects to really make it feel big. And they didn't generate any rating for that anyway. So you gave away a breakup on SmackDown, and they were down in viewership, and how many people actually missed out on that live? You didn't promote it. You didn't promote the tag team title match that they were in that led to the breakup. It's as if WWE doesn't care. So SmackDown was down. Like I said, the Fatal 4 was the main event. King Corbin, Matt Riddle, Sheamus, and Jey Uso. Jey Uso replaced Big E, who was attacked by Sheamus earlier in the night. Jey Uso won. He will now challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal title at Clash of Champions, which WWE is now naming Gold Rush. That's the new hashtag or the tagline for Clash of Champions. Jey Uso, I don't really understand it. I think it's terrible. I think it's a terrible creative decision. But the fact that they're family is the only shred of hope I have in this thing to make it interesting. It exposes a wider issue that nobody really is talking about. The fact that WWE's got to go with Jey Uso as the #1 contender over everybody else on that roster is a blatant smack in the face. Hey, we don't build new stars. They refuse to build new stars. WWE has so much talent on that brand that they're going with Jey Uso, who has not done anything in a singles role ever, who's part of a tag team that is forced to sit out because his brother is hurt, and now you want to make him a number one contender. What has he done on TV for me to believe? And the fact that he's Roman's cousin means nothing to me. What has he done on TV to believe that he, A, stands a chance, or B, deserves a Universal Championship match? Are we going to see the finger poke of doom? Are we going to see Jey Uso put over Roman Reigns and just succumb to Roman Reigns and him being Roman's cousin? I don't know. And I said, everybody's like, why are you hating on it? It's Clash of Champions. It's different. It's unpredictable. It's a throwaway show, people were telling me. I'm sorry. When I do things, nothing is throwaway. I consider everything I do important. Everything should have equal importance. You should continue evolving and building. Why do you got to look at this as a throwaway show? You're asking people to dedicate 3.5 hours of their Sunday night for Clash of Champions, and you want to make it a throwaway show? Imagine being a casual and you see Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso for the Universal Championship. What's your first thought? I'm not watching this shit. What the fuck is that? A throwaway show? Nothing should be a throwaway show. Everything should be of a certain level of importance. I don't understand people's mentality. That's the mentality of the community. Everything is just, we're complacent. We're just sitting here and everything is just mediocre and we're okay with that. It's a throwaway show. Nothing should ever be a throwaway show. There are people legitimately spending $64.99 for this shit on traditional pay-per-view. Not even that for me to shell out or for anyone to shell out $10 to subscribe to the network. That's hard-earned money going into WWE's pocket, and this is what they give you? Oh, but it's okay. It's a throwaway show. That's just the mentality of people, man. People love mediocrity, and there are some people that want things to be better. I am one in the camp of wanting things to be better. SmackDown was not one of the best shows of the year. And if you thought that, my God, man, please, I urge you all to stop listening to the fucking shills and the sheep in the community. They are brainwashing you. They are rotting your brain with absolute fucking garbage. Stop it. Stop it. This is the only show you need. I will never steer you wrong. One of the best aspects of SmackDown, probably the only thing outside of Sasha and Bayley, which to me still wasn't as good as it should have been, was Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. WWE dropping the ball on Roman Reigns and his heel turn. They haven't done anything to change him, to mold him, to make me believe. It's always the same shit with WWE. It's like, all right, we'll go into this half-assed and everybody will eat it up. Anyway, they're going to be watching. Oh, Roman's heel. Oh, look, they aligned him with Paul Heyman. People are going to watch. And then they refuse to change other aspects about Roman Reigns that really are more important than anything else. So Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman were on SmackDown, and Heyman kicked off SmackDown, and he alluded to being a castaway, and he danced around many subjects that WWE would never really let him speak about on live television. Heyman christened himself as Roman Reigns, or he christened himself and Roman Reigns with new moniker saying that he's the special counsel for the tribal chief. It was widely regarded by fans as the right way to kick off a Universal title run. But yet he comes out to the same theme music, he comes out wearing the same clothing, and he comes out looking the same in every aspect. He's just got a mean face on now, carrying gold, with Paul Heyman behind him doing all the speaking. Instead of WWE actually going out there and actually showing us that they care, changing little aspects about Roman Reigns here and there that they've yet to do. And I hope that they go and do eventually. Why not go all in? It's like they don't want to change. It's almost as if WWE's telling you, you know what? Enjoy this while it lasts. We're going to eventually change him back to the old Roman Reigns, and there's no need for us to change his appearance right now because he's going to go back to being the big dog come 2021. Ringside News has learned that only a few members of the writing team knew what was happening in the Paul Heyman segment. It was laid out in the production meeting And the promo was one that went over well backstage. It was additionally told us here at Ringside News, they say that those backstage wanted to see everything Heyman was doing. It was a sellout at the monitor, and everyone was just breathing it in. They said everyone was breathless by his promo on Friday night. The general mindset is that Paul Heyman was on his fucking game tonight, as they told Ringside News. Everyone backstage was saying Paul Heyman is the GOAT, while praising Roman Reigns' intensity as well. Yeah, all they need to do is change Roman Reigns' look, and we are good to go. And I still, to this very day, to this very podcast, I do not agree with what they did at Payback. I don't. I don't agree with the fucking fact that they tried to get sympathy on The Fiend. I don't agree that The Fiend should have went into that pay-per-view as the Universal Champion. I don't agree that Roman Reigns should have came out 90% through the match to sign a fucking contract while the bell was already rung and enter himself in a match that should be without Roman Reigns if it went that far. Heels do not need to cheat to win. Roman Reigns is not a character where you're going to go out there and say, wreck everyone and leave and be this badass and say, this is my island now. He's saying all the right things, but then he's going to go out there and fucking take the cheapest way out possible to get the Universal title. That does not speak the type of heel I want Roman Reigns to be. You're trying to be a mixture of different heels. And that's going to get lost in translation. Roman Reigns needs to be one way and one way only, and that was his old NXT way. Fancy suit, big Rolex watch, the ponytail, a dick. That's what Roman Reigns needs to be. Everything else that WWE has done, they tried too hard. They wanted him to come off as a heel. They didn't need to try so hard at Payback. The guy is standing in front of Paul Heyman with Paul Heyman standing behind him doing all the talking. What more do you need? Roman Reigns does not need to cheat to win. He's never cheated to win his entire fucking career. Now that he's a heel, he's got to cheat to win. That's the simple-minded kindergarten mentality of WWE. And I don't like it. I don't like it. Before all is said and done, WWE is going to ruin this Roman Reigns heel turn, and I'm not going to be on the side of Roman anymore, and I'm going to go back to hating on the creative that WWE has given us for Roman Reigns. I don't want to, because I've asked for this for 5 years now. Just do the right thing. It's not that fucking difficult. It's not a situation where you got to overthink things. This is a very simple concept. AEW Dynamite. Their viewership on the 9/2 episode seen a major increase. Live viewership for Dynamite was in this week. The total number of viewers was up 18 to 49. It returned to the traditional slot on Wednesday night. And the show has been preempted by the TNT basketball playoffs as of late. 2 weeks ago, it aired on Saturday, and last week it took place on Thursday. Dynamite drew 928,000 live viewers, which is up from the 813,000 viewers they did on the August 27th episode. In the 18 to 49 demographic, the show did a 0.36, which is up from 0.29. This was their best total viewership number since March 18th. And that show did 932,000 viewers. So Dynamite was up for the go-home show for All Out. NXT, they showed up on Tuesday. 9-1. They seen a viewership increase for the Iron Man match. The total viewers were in. And in the 18 to 49 demographic for Super Tuesday, NXT drew 849,000 live viewers, which is up from last week's 824,000 live viewers. NXT ranked number 10 among the top 150 shows on cable, which is up from 24 last week. It also did a 0.26 in the 18 to 49 demo, and that was up from the last week's number of 0.24. This marked the third time this year that NXT did not have competition from AEW Dynamite, and they were preempted on Super Tuesday. We'll be getting an NXT episode on Tuesday again this week because of USA Network coverage of the NHL playoffs. And like I said, Super Tuesday happened last Tuesday, and night 2 of Super Tuesday is airing this coming Tuesday on USA Network. Now, that episode featured a big Iron Man Fatal 4-Way match And that was due to Karrion Kross suffering a shoulder injury. He'll be out for the rest of the year, plus some of 2021. A new champion was not determined on that show, as Adam Cole and Finn Balor went to a sudden death draw, and now they will meet in a one-on-one match to determine the NXT champion on Super Tuesday this coming Tuesday. I hated that ending. I'm not even going to go over it anymore, but that's not even the topic of discussion here. So AEW was up. NXT was up. Impact. Yes, I got Impact news. I don't know why, but I figured this was funny. Impact was down because they air on Tuesday night. And they took a viewership hit with NXT competition. Wade Keller of PWTorch.com reports that Tuesday's episode of Impact on Axis delivered 102,000 subscribers. Should be noted that this shows on Tuesday. It shows that when going up against NXT, which was hyped as Super Tuesday on USA Network, they did not deliver all that well in the ratings like they usually do. Like I said, that episode of NXT did 849,000 viewers. The prior 8 weeks of Impact averaged 155,000 viewers. In fact, last week's show did 171,000 viewers, which was the second biggest number since Slammiversary. And that show saw a major title change with Eric Young. Yes, Sanity's Eric Young. Yes, former 24/7 champion Eric Young, beating Eddie Edwards to win the Impact World Championship. It was added that the low since then was 134,000 4 weeks ago. Axis TV is not reported in the Nielsen Top Cable Ratings report. Thus, there's no word yet on the demo ratings for the show. Now, you're probably asking, JD, why are you talking about Impact viewership and Impact ratings? I just wanted to throw it out there, folks, and it's quite funny that what we do here on Off the Script and what we do weekly on the channel generates more viewership in 1 week than Impact does in 1 week. So I'm just here to tell you that Off the Script is greater than Impact Wrestling. There you go. So when you need JD to come in and boost ratings for you, give me a call. Now, the recent AEW and NXT ratings, and I know I pissed off Impact fans, but Impact sucks. You got a damn good women's division, but Jesus Christ, bro. Come on. I'm better than Impact Wrestling. Recent ratings are, right now, with Wednesday night, AEW and NXT. It is terrible for the Wednesday Night War. It is terrible for the Wednesday Night War. You see that ratings on a separate night for both AEW and NXT are greater than when they are competing head-to-head. The second half of the 1990s is viewed as the best era in the wrestling business by a lot of fans for a number of reasons. However, the biggest reason is because of the competition in place at the time. Every Monday night, WWE Raw and WCW Nitro would try to outdo each other in the ratings. Each would attempt to put on a better show than the other in order to attract more viewers. That's why fans got excited in 2019 when it was revealed that AEW Dynamite and NXT would be going head-to-head on the same night in the middle of the week on Wednesday. That started back in October of 2019, and ever since, fans have been dissecting the shows and really making a big deal about the ratings each and every week. Every single geek on social media proves to be 100% unequivocally virgin. If you are arguing about the ratings on social media and waiting with bated breath when Alvarez reports the ratings report on Wednesday, you are 100% confirmed to be a virgin. That is just the fact. I don't know why you guys make a big deal about the ratings. Dynamite has been winning this war for most of the time that they've been on Wednesday night, competing against each other. The only time WWE has won was when they sprung counter-programming, literally born in a week, to combat AEW, adding NXT to the Survivor Series, which they've never done before. NXT's been around for how long? And now this is the first year you wanted to add NXT to the Survivor Series? I wonder why. Why is that? And they won the Survivor Series on Vince McMahon's watch. I wonder why. What was that for? How could this be? What was the decision in that? AEW and the AEW effect. So the only way that NXT won was because of desperation. NXT, meanwhile, they're concentrating on AEW, but they're also harming their own product because instead of long-term vision and booking with purpose like I remember NXT doing, they're booking and watching AEW with eagle eyes. They're not booking for long-term vision because they are known to do that, but they're booking in week-to-week increments to combat AEW because they don't want to lose out on the demos. They don't want to lose out on the ratings war. But the only reason why NXT exists on Wednesday night anyway is because Vince McMahon ordered them to be on Wednesday night, and Vince McMahon wanted them to take a chunk out of AEW's ratings. This is common knowledge, folks. This is why NXT exists on Wednesday night at 2 hours. This is not a secret. If AEW was on their own night, uncontested, and they continue to grow, how soon before we start seeing AEW creep closer and closer to Monday Night Raw ratings, which we know combined this year on some weeks, NXT and AEW had combined to be more in overall viewers in comparison to Monday Night Raw. That's not really what Vince McMahon wants with AEW. So he's put NXT on Wednesday night as a shield for WWE. Just think of it as a WWE army. You got Monday Night Raw, you got SmackDown, and then NXT is literally on the front line. They are the shield for WWE. They are the warriors. They are the soldiers that are going into battle first for WWE to stop AEW. And that's the only reason why they exist on Wednesday night. If you ask Triple H if he wanted to be on USA Network at 2 hours, I guarantee you if I got that man behind closed doors and I was sworn to secrecy, he would tell me that this is not the true vision, this is not the true growth of NXT. It's not. It's not. In fact, what you're doing is actually harming the company. You're harming the brand by having them go to head-to-head with AEW. Now, if you want to put them on a Tuesday night and you want to put them in their own time slot away from AEW, that may be looked at as its own growth. To me, that is. To me, that's actually caring about the brand. What you're doing on Wednesday night is not caring about the brand because you don't give a fuck if it sinks or swims. And who's going to watch NXT and invest themselves in NXT long term when you're pulling this guy and pulling that guy and pulling this one and pulling that one and you're going to put them on the main roster? Who are you going to leave on NXT for us to be invested in? Who are you going to leave on NXT to go head-to-head with AEW? At that point, when you start pulling and purging NXT, you're going to leave them with nobody, and they're going to look worse for it if they're going head-to-head with AEW. This does not make any sense to me. Look at the ratings. AEW drew 928,000. NXT drew 850,000. This is on separate nights. If this was on the same night, you'd probably be looking at 700,000 at most for both. In some cases, NXT, less than that. How is that growth? You're sharing the market space. You're sharing the market space because you don't want the other people to grow. Why are you concerned about them? You should be worried about your fucking show. Right now, NXT's got more issues than I care to name on this podcast tonight. You know what they are. They need to go back and do what they need to do and give me my NXT back because right now it ain't feeling like NXT. Nothing about it feels like NXT. I feel like they're going through the motions. And when they moved into the mainstream and they got on USA Network and they went to 2 hours, just like everything else that hits the mainstream, it becomes stale. It becomes uninteresting. It becomes just the norm. You don't care for it. It's there. You like it, but you don't care for it. Not like we used to care for it. We fell in love with NXT. We were in love with NXT. Now it's just there. We don't care if we watch it or not. It's there. We don't care who's on the show. It's there. This indifference towards NXT is sickening. It's like having an underground band. And they're fucking rocking and rolling and they're doing what they gotta do. They're putting out some of the best fucking music you heard in years. They're edgy, they're intense, they're fucking catchy, they got a great lead guitar player. Their singer is doing everything they need to do to fucking just make you just sit there and say, damn, this fucking band is good. And then they get signed to a major label, they're touring with fucking Nickelback. Next thing you know it, they're writing fucking radio singles and the chorus comes in fucking 20 seconds. And you're asking yourself, what the fuck happened to these guys just removed 5 years ago? That's not growth. That's a sellout. That's a sellout. I remember two things. I remember I was big on Stella Artois beer, right? Before it even hit the mainstream. Like, this is good. This is my go-to. Instead of going to a Heineken that's commercial, I'm going to a Stella. When everybody was just like, Stella's good. But it wasn't commercialized. It wasn't on commercials. It wasn't on the billboards. Me and my boys used to drink Stella. It was our Heineken alternative because we wanted to be cool and edgy and not go for the mainstream. When Stella got, commercialized and big, I haven't touched Stella. Stella has not touched my lips in years. And it will never. Unless I am desperate at a place and all you got is fucking Stella. I will not drink Stella Artois beer. Dane Cook. Dane Cook is another one. I enjoy Dane Cook comedy. More so early Dane Cook when he wasn't known by anybody. And then Dane Cook became trendy. He became popular. He did all this shit, right? He was mainstream. He didn't become funny anymore. He wasn't funny as he was back in the day when he was underground. Everything that's underground, everything that's hidden away from the mainstream is always just pristine. It's great. That's the way we want it. When NXT made it to the main stage on USA Network, you knew it was going to become commercialized. You knew it wasn't going to fit into that role anymore. It wasn't going to fit into that edgy, oh my God, the cool version of WWE. It's not. It's becoming more like the main roster than ever before. I mean, they got Slipknot to do their opening theme. When was the last time we seen or heard Slipknot in that opening vignette? We haven't heard that theme song and that video package play. We haven't seen that video package play in months on the USA Network. Why is that? Because NXT is becoming commercialized. And that was a great opening montage, a great opening theme. That was the battle song for everything NXT. Have you heard that on the USA Network this year? No. NXT has sold out to the USA Network. They are no longer the NXT that we love. And they need to go back to doing their own thing away from AEW. AEW needs to worry about AEW. NXT needs to worry about NXT. And at that point, we will get the best of both shows. That's the only thing that's going to bring NXT back to the way it used to be. AEW, I feel like they usually put on a decent show anyway on a week-to-week basis. NXT, I can't say the same thing for. AEW is going to be fine on their own. Their growth is going to increase. So will NXT's. But NXT is so worried about AEW right now that they're missing the point of why they even exist. They're missing the point of why we fell in love with them. They need to get back to that. And if moving them to Tuesday night is the way to do that, then by all means, that's the best way for business. Because right now, they ain't doing anything for me and a lot of people that I know. It's not the same NXT. And if you try and argue with me, for somebody that's been watching NXT for the very beginning of NXT, you gotta be mental. I was one of the few content creators on this platform covering NXT weekly on the WWE Network at 1 hour. It is not the same. And they haven't shown anything this year that even resembles what they did 2, 3, 4 years ago. It is not the same. And they will not be the same unless they move on to do their own thing away from AEW. Jericho even said that NXT should retreat to Tuesday night. He said on Busted Open Radio, they should retreat. They should move to any other night. Get away from us. You guys got a great program, and it's good. Why would you want to sacrifice your own ratings just to be spiteful and petty to go head-to-head with AEW? We're not going anywhere. And we put on anything you want. We put on anything we want. We'll continue to beat you. It is a retreat, but it's also the right move from a business standpoint. Get your head out of your ass and just worry about your product the same way we worry about ours. If they move to Tuesday, smart move. That way you guys can get your 850,000, 900,000, whatever. Get 10 million for all I care. Congratulations. Let us do our thing and we'll get over $1 million. I think it's a smart move business-wise on theirs. They lost. There's nothing wrong with conceding defeat, moving to a different night, and worrying about your show and not worrying about going head-to-head with AEW because you can't stop us. End quote. You know, he's right. It might be Jericho being a dick, but he's right. You know, a lot of people would look at Jericho as, salty, but they can't because AEW has won the majority of the weeks. And he's only speaking on knowledge. He's only speaking because he knows a thing or two about this type of thing. It would be different if AEW was losing and him going out there and busted open and saying they should move. But they've been winning. And he's telling NXT to go and move. Because he realizes what a lot of people have realized these last 2 weeks. NXT existing on its own, as its own entity, on its own night, is best for business. People are actually watching and investing. And that number will rise when you put on consistent good television. Not just a flash in the pan title match here and a one-off title match here and a fucking gimmick 2-week fucking extravaganza here and there. Do what you gotta do. And develop a loyal fan base that will continue to grow week after week after week. Instead of hoping that you're gonna grab people from AEW side and make sure they watch your show on a consistent basis and say, fuck them. Jericho is right. It is very difficult to say that he is wrong in this situation. Meltzer mentioned on The Observer about an update and the mindset behind NXT possibly moving to Tuesday night. He says, but USA is in the same fight as Vince McMahon. You have to remember this. You think they are not in this fight together, but they are. They both have this same mentality. Neither side wants another wrestling company to be doing well. Meltzer brought up this point as well. From day one, every single person knew that if they put NXT television on a Thursday or a Tuesday, it would draw significantly more than it would draw on Wednesday. The only reason that NXT is on television is to keep AEW. ... They were not put on television to build the brand. They were put on television to make sure AEW went out of business. And obviously in January, that was not going to happen, meaning AEW signed a 5-year deal with TNT. There you go. Am I a AEW shill because I said what I said? Meanwhile, you got the biggest name in the business of what we do saying the same exact thing. Is Jericho wrong? Is Meltzer wrong? I've been saying that before Meltzer even said it on this week's show. I've been saying that for months. I've said it since NXT and AEW had 1 week together on Wednesday night. Give me a break. It is absolutely a fact of the situation. Now, AEW is still planning to launch a second TV show. This was from a media call ahead of All Out. Tony Khan explained about AEW having a second show. When that's going to happen and what night, we don't know. But he said this, and I quote, "It's funny because I speak to them a lot on TNT." He speaks to the people in charge of TNT. And I've had texts with top executives at Warner because we talk so much about promoting the show and about ideas. I actually texted while we've seen all of this happen, and I've been on calls with these guys. It's a great relationship. And like I've said, it's the lifeblood of our company, our media partnership. Kevin, I believe he just was let go from TNT. At the time, he was saying Dark. That was not accurate. Dark was never going to be their second show. Tony Khan confirmed that was never accurate. We were not going to bring Dark into the third hour, and we had communicated that, but it was a miscommunication, and I think Kevin misunderstood some of the materials. Dark was doing very, very, very well, and I think it is doing very well, and Dark has actually risen since this conversation we had with Kevin. But we would do a totally different third hour. It's not going to be added on top of Dynamite's second hour. It's going to be a separate hour of television on a different night, is what he's saying. So this third hour, they're going to keep dark on YouTube, and that is the plan. A separate third hour on a different night, and that will be launched in the next year. I don't have an exact date. I can promise you it will be in the next year. I don't know exactly when. There's a lot of work that's going into this, and it still needs to be done in terms of marketing and testing. A lot goes into launching a show, and before it'll go on network television, and we will do all of that work. I think, frankly, as far as going in and doing that market research and putting together a launch plan, the pandemic sidetracked us on that, and it made it more difficult. And as far as people developing new shows and working on them, a lot of shows have slowed down, and we've been really fortunate that AEW Dynamite has been on through the pandemic and really done well and been consistently doing well and has been in the top 10 shows weekly on TNT. And that is our goal, and that is their goal for us. I don't know exactly when, but as things are starting to hopefully get more and more normal, and hopefully as the country keeps trending in a better direction in terms of going back to work, we'll definitely be launching this new show soon. I don't know on the exact date. End quote. I don't know when they're going to launch. Thursday seems to be a good night to me. And I honestly think an hour, additionally, of AEW television is a great thing. Right now, I'm starting to feel the oversaturation of that roster. And a lot of those talents are being put in situations just for the sake of getting them TV time with no real direction. If they have an extra hour of television, you might be able to get these talents in meaningful programs during the week and get that consistent TV going on a week-to-week basis instead of just putting everybody in a 6-man tag, an 8-man tag, a 10-man tag, a 12-man tag, a fucking battle royal just for the sake of getting them on TV. So I think that's great, and it's going to add to the overall growth of AEW. It's very exciting times, but I do think both shows will be better off existing on their own on separate nights. NXT on Tuesday and AEW on Wednesday night. And don't tell me that NXT was home on Wednesday night since the very beginning. They were only moved to the USA Network off the WWE Network for the reasons that I mentioned, and that is 100% the fact of the matter. NXT. One minor NXT news and note here. They moved TakeOver from Survivor Series weekend, and now it's its own show. According to PW Insider, WWE pulled TakeOver during Survivor Series weekend. Instead, they booked a new TakeOver special for December 6th. It is unknown what the TakeOver will be called. A TakeOver event in early December still gives NXT an event to build towards. The idea of TakeOver not taking place during Survivor Series weekend also opens up a greater possibility for NXT Superstars to be included in the Royal Rumble, which, if WWE still has NXT on Wednesday nights, undoubtedly they will do that so that they get a chance to win in the ratings war against AEW. But this is great news. Takeovers are much better off existing on their own, away from the main roster shows, and it falls in line with what we've seen develop over the course of the year. We got a takeover in Portland in February. So if WWE is doing another takeover in October, I believe they're doing another takeover in October, and they wanted to do one in November. So that would be back-to-back takeovers. That is not NXT-like. WWE has never had back-to-back takeovers at all, ever, in all times that I've seen a takeover. So October, November wouldn't have worked. So they're doing October, and then they're doing December, and then they'll probably rotate back to being in February. So that's what they're doing there. They're just kind of ironing out the schedule to really give these shows some space in between. So that's pretty much all it is. Monday Night Raw, the ratings were down post-payback. And the hours were this. 8 p.m., 2.104. Hour 2 was a 1.882. And hour 3 was a 1.703. That drew an average of 1.896 million viewers on the USA Network. This is down from the 2.028 million viewers a week ago. Man, that Thunderdome is really looking like it was a complete waste of time. Because everybody thought the ratings were going to go up in the Thunderdome, right? And then, obviously, I was right, as always. I don't give a fuck if the show takes place in your mother's fucking bathroom. The same show. It's about the creative. Nobody's watching because the show sucks. Very simple concept. If WWE had some consistency to these shows and they made true episodic television that people were fucking interested in and they developed that over 3, 4, 5, 6 months, then maybe we wouldn't be looking at a 2.2 down to a 2.1 down to a 1.8. Give me a break. That third hour is an absolute killer. Absolute killer of the entire show. That show does not need to be 3 hours. WWE should know when to cut their losses with Raw. That third hour is a complete waste of everybody's time. And Monday Night Raw was terrible. They had Randy Orton go through a triple threat match to get a title shot that he was already guaranteed. So they wasted everybody's 3 hours, and I guess I was right in saying what I said on Monday night. Why watch the show when everybody realized that Randy Orton was promised a championship match last week, only for him to compete and have it happen again this week? He was already granted a title match by Drew McIntyre. Why do we need to see him go through a match and then a triple threat match in the same night to get the title match that Drew McIntyre already promised him? People are mental. I don't say the shit that I do because I want to be cool. I don't say the shit that I do for likes and clicks and fucking views. I say it because it's the majority of the community that feels this way. And if you don't like what I'm saying, I'm sorry I don't fit into your fucking narrative. Monday Night Raw sucks. End of story. WWE wants to push Keith Lee to the moon. Oh, really? Because he's already buried Keith Lee in the fucking graveyard. Now he wants to push him to the moon. Interesting. Very interesting. Alex McCarthy of TalkSport reported on Monday that a source told him that Vince McMahon had asked Randy Orton to make Keith Lee a star before their match on Raw and before their match at Payback. The source stated, says McCarthy, and I quote, "Imagine how high Vince McMahon has to be on somebody to have Randy Orton put them over clean as a whistle. Orton doing the best work of his career." That's a stretch. The best work of his career, really? It's the best work since the last time he's done the best work of his career. But who's counting? So Vince McMahon wants to push him to the moon. Randy Orton pushed him to that limit, clean as a whistle. Orton doing the best work of his career, wants to help create that next generation of stars. He gets it. Randy Orton might want to create the next generation of stars, but does Vince McMahon? I didn't know Randy Orton was the go-to now. Hey, Mr. Orton, who's the next in line? Is Randy Orton going to be in charge of everybody that comes up from NXT, or is it going to be Vince McMahon? I didn't know we had to consult Randy Orton on this important matter. Give me a break. Well, fans might not be best pleased about Keith Lee at the moment. They changed his ring gear. They changed his entrance music. They should take solace in the fact that Vince McMahon reportedly wants to push Keith Lee to the top of WWE. The source says McMahon wants to push Keith Lee to the moon, and he thought Orton was the perfect foil for him to do that right now. It seems Orton was only happy to do this and follow the boss's orders, as you would expect. It was previously reported that Orton would like to work with some NXT stars, such as Adam Cole and Tommaso Ciampa, but he hasn't had the chance to do that yet, but perhaps down the line, it can happen. So that's that. Keith Lee. Yeah, I love how Alex McCarthy says whatever he said in this report, but he didn't really mention how Keith Lee lost his debut match on Monday Night Raw and how that match didn't make any sense. If you were going to give me that match at the pay-per-view, why did you do it and give us 4 minutes on that Monday night leading into Payback? Nobody mentioned anything about his ring gear. Nobody mentioned anything about his fucking generic-ass theme music that they've already changed twice. Who was the last group of guys that had their theme music changed? Or not theme music, but their name changed. The Viking Raiders. Have they ever recovered from that? No. Everybody looked at them as a legit joke. Keith Lee had one of the worst debuts in WWE memory. Simple. The guy was on TakeOver Saturday night before they called him up with his original theme music. I mentioned this already. I find it funny how nobody says this. He had his original theme music on Saturday night at TakeOver. He gets called up to the main roster, but he just came out with that theme music a day ago. 2 days ago. And you mean to tell me it's a publishing issue with CFOs? Really? How many CFO theme songs exist on the main roster? Right? It's like 80% of the roster has CFO theme music. Why did Vince McMahon change Keith Lee's theme music? Because it didn't fit his narrative. Why did WWE and Vince McMahon change Keith Lee's outfit and put a shirt on him when I just seen him wrestle without a shirt on Saturday night against Karrion Kross? Because Keith Lee is fat. That's why. WWE wants to change everything that doesn't need to be changed. Micromanaging. Vince thinks he knows, but at the end of the day, he knows nothing. He don't even watch NXT, but he feels the need to change NXT. Let's break them down and rebuild them back in Vince's image. It's not the way it works. Why does NXT even fucking exist at that point? They exist to build for the future. They exist to give you pretty much a silver platter. Hey, Vince. Hey, Pop. I got this guy ready. All you got to do is put him on TV. Let's do it. Meanwhile, Vince is taking everything that Triple H worked on perfectly, and then he changes everything, and then we all feel the way that we do on social media. Then the wrestlers block us, we complain, they block us, WWE continues to change, the guy loses, he's buried, and then we complain some more. It's pretty much the way of the world on WWE social media. Backstage news on Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. This is not the last we will see of this feud. In fact, WWE is so fucking boring and they're so uncreative that this will last all the way until the Survivor Series. Yes, Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre will last all the way to the Survivor Series. Sportskeeda is reporting that there are several championship matches planned between Orton and McIntyre, including Clash of Champions, Hell in a Cell, and this program will likely extend into the Survivor Series. WWE reportedly had a plan for McIntyre and Orton to face off again at Payback, but Vince McMahon apparently decided to scrap it. Orton faced Lee instead, with Lee picking up a victory in 8 minutes over Randy Orton. What did WWE do with Keith Lee following that pay-per-view? They put him in a match against Dolph Ziggler in 11 minutes. He got a victory over Dolph Ziggler in 11 minutes, but he beat Randy Orton the night before in 8 minutes. 7 minutes. So I'd love to tell anybody, or ask anybody, I should say, how that makes any sense whatsoever. And I'd like to tell you that if you overlook things like that, you're a fucking problem to the community and to the overall product of WWE. Doesn't make any sense now. I mean, that is something that you're looking at. I mean, that jumps off the fucking page. I don't know how anybody did not ask that question in the back when they booked this show last week. Now, WWE reportedly has a plan for McIntyre and Orton to face off again at Clash of Champions, like I said. Orton has been built up as the top heel on the Raw roster for several months. He's been very entertaining. His feud with Edge was great, even though it suffered a little bit. Then Edge tore his tricep during a match at Backlash, and that will keep him out into the early months of 2021. There have been multiple reports about Randy Orton possibly beating Drew McIntyre to win the WWE title, with Randy Orton eventually defending the title against Edge at the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania 37. We don't know how this feud will play out over the next 2 or 3 months. The McIntyre feud with Orton, it could work, but given that WWE has already botched this fucking feud, I don't really give them any hope to make sense of it all. Both superstars are doing well for themselves. Randy Orton losing to Keith Lee, it was a situation where they kind of booked themselves into that corner, but they were lucky. WWE was incredibly lucky that Randy Orton was so fucking hot when he was. Because a loss to Keith Lee really doesn't do anything to Randy Orton. And then they booked that ridiculous fucking stipulation on Monday where he had to beat Kevin Owens and then go into the triple threat. And then he gets the title match already that Drew McIntyre already gave him a week before that. But him losing to Keith Lee, it wasn't that bad. In fact, it needed to happen that way, and they were very lucky, like I said, that he was so hot that a loss, it's not really going to do anything to him. In logic, it does, because he lost. He lost twice. He lost to McIntyre at SummerSlam, and then he lost to Keith Lee. So I don't know how that would make him a WWE #1 contender for the championship. So a lot of it doesn't make sense. A lot of it I enjoy. You know, it's not going to really harm Randy Orton in the long run, but it just feels like WWE doesn't know what they want to do. They don't know where they want to go. They don't know who they want to win. They don't know when this is going to end. They just keep doing and doing and doing and doing because they are too lazy to come up with anything else. And the fact that they don't have anybody else built up on that roster to challenge Drew McIntyre is also a glaring issue. So we'll see. McIntyre and Orton Survivor Series, we may see this extend for the next 3 pay-per-views. And finally, guys, WWE's plan for Dominik Mysterio while Rey Mysterio is out with injury. This was a situation that I talked about. Now I got confirmation on this. I said, if Rey's going to be out a month or two, a month and a half, he could be on TV. He could be in the corner of Dominik. And I don't see why you would not do that situation. Ringside News has learned that WWE plans to keep Dominik on television. And even if his father isn't around, he's amazing for the demographic, most notably in the younger female demographic. I guess all the little girls are finding Dominik to be a Lothario himself. Dominik already appeared by himself while his father was dealing with an eye injury. Contract negotiations. Dominik has received a ton of praise for his SummerSlam performance, and Rey Mysterio is only expected to be out of action for a couple of months. Dominik was set to be involved with his father during this time. It will call for a bit of a change to work things out, but WWE has full intentions of keeping Dominik Mysterio around on television. Like I said, Rey's going to be on television. He will be there in Dominik's corner, and that's the right way to go about it. And Dominik, you know, as long as WWE doesn't give him title fucking opportunities, I'll be fine with it. What he does moving forward now after Seth Rollins, I don't know. I don't know where they go with that, but it's going to be interesting to see what WWE does with Dominik. I assume they continue the Seth Rollins storyline because if Rey is still seeking redemption on his own against Rollins, and it's only going to be a month or so until he comes back, I could see them picking that up and giving Rey Mysterio the big win because not only did they get the win tag team-wise, and that was needed, I feel like Rey Mysterio needs to get one over on Seth Rollins as well to really bring closure to this entire storyline. So that's that. Dominik will continue to be on TV even though Rey Mysterio is going to be out for at least a month and a half with a minor injury that he suffered at Payback. And that is that, guys. That is the podcast tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. We went over a ton of WWE news. I really appreciate you guys for joining me here on the podcast. If you enjoy the live format of the show, let me know what you think down below. Leave me a thumbs up in the chat if you guys enjoy the podcast in this live format. Super chats, I want to thank everybody that left a super chat, man. Papo Jr., Chris Hassel, Maximus Sage, Kearney. We got Marty Banks, Monty, Indigo. We got Cameron Baker, Mr. Cake, Philip Maffei, Cameron again, Gus, Javon, Vash, DJ, Zonic, and Screeching Warbeef. That is that, man. Thank you guys so very much. I will be back on Monday night for the live stream of Monday Night Raw. We got a lot to go over. And Monday Night Raw starts a brand new week of television, man. If you guys want to go check out all the other content on the channel, links are down below. Hit that thumbs up, man. There's 638 likes in the chat. Let's get that up to 1,000, man. Every little bit helps out the video and helps out the channel. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for notifications. And follow me on social media at JD from NY206, man. I love you guys. I'll be back during Monday Night Raw. All Out review is live. Everything else you might have missed on the channel is live. Links are in the description. Go and get your t-shirts. Bonfire.com. Go and get your masks. Mouthmasker.com. And if you want to support the podcast, Patreon.com/JD from NY206 and Audible, the sponsor for tonight's show, man. AudibleTrial.com/offthescript. Guys, I'll see you for Monday Night Raw tomorrow. Have a great night, man.